Whether it's a lager or an ale, whether it's a stout, light, dark, or pale. If you can brew it, Chad can review it. It's time for Chad's Beer Reviews. He's not quite an amateur, not quite a connoisseur, but regardless of the brewer, he's got taste in beer for sure.
You can tell just by his gut, this guy is a bona fide beer nut.
So whether it's a porter or an IPA, whether it's from Europe or the USA, if you can brew it, Chad can review it. It's time for Chad's Beer Reviews.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Chad's Beer Reviews. Not just any other episode. This is episode number 400. And we're going to celebrate by drinking a pretty special beer that I tried to review a few months ago, but if you saw that video, you know why I couldn't. This is the famous Trappist Westvleteren 8. Now, we all know the Trappist Westvleteren 12 is like the so-called greatest beer in the world, but what about the 8? This is a double. The 12 is a quad. They don't make a triple. The blonde is just a Belgian blonde, which I have reviewed. If we take a close look at the cap here, we can see that it is dated 8/10/13. Now that would be the 8th day of October 2013, 3 years from the bottling date, which means this was bottled on October 8th of 2010. So it's a pretty fresh bottle compared to the 2-year-old vintage I was drinking, or trying to drink last time, I should say. As you can see, it's 8% in the volume. And this, unlike the last bottle, this one does have it says Trappist beer on the ring around the neck of the bottle. And if we hold this up to the light, there is like massive yeast suspended in the bottle itself. It's like a lava lamp. I mean, look at that. So, I'm really excited to try this beer. Hopefully it won't be a bottle rocket again, but just in case, got a bowl right here. I'll just put it in. I'm going to open this in one quick motion. Oh, yes. Ooh. No bottle rocket. It smells good. Had lots of smoke in there. So what do we have here? I mean, to me this looks pretty much the same as the 12. It's that maroon, blood red kind of thing, a burgundy maybe. You know, even without the yeast in it, it's super hazy. You cannot see through it at all. Had a pretty decent head on there. It's off-white, soapy. It has some kind of white wine kind of smell in there too. It's more of like a lively, like a sourness, like a green apple almost. Maybe some cherries. It kind of smells like fruit cake, or like a fruit platter or something like that. So let's try the Trappist Westvleteren 8. Oh, this is a lot more sharp tasting than the 12. Even though this is a fresh bottle, but I just drank its fresh 12, a couple weeks ago. You do get that kind of wine-like taste immediately. There's a sourness to it, like not a super strong, not like a 𝗕𝗘𝗟𝗏 or whatever, but just like a little, like a kind of a green apple tartness. It doesn't dance on the tongue the way a lot of these Trappist beers do. It's just more of like a one swift motion. Kind of like an intense energy on the tongue. It's not too dry while it's in the mouth, but it is leaving a little bit of a dry aftertaste. Not as complex as the 12. Let's try adding the bottom of the bottle here, see if it changes it up. Ooh, you see how dirty that was? That yeast took a lot of the edge off. Before it had like that sharp sourness. Now it's like a much softer mouthfeel. It's funny because like reading the comments on the other beers of these that I've reviewed, a lot of people said, don't pour the yeast in. But I have to say that I think this actually tastes better now with the yeast in it. Yeah, this is really good. I will take a break, write up a text review. We'll come back with my final thoughts on the Trappist Westvleteren 8. Okay, I'm back, finishing up the Westie 8. As you can see, I just have a little bit of beer here left. Really took my time with this one. I was hoping that as it warmed, it would open up more. I thought it would actually become a sipper, but it didn't. But you know what? I definitely like this beer. I think it's very good. Like it a lot. Like the kind of the typical Belgian Trappist qualities you're getting here. The red apple, the green apple, the cherry. I like the initial sourness when I poured the yeast out. It kind of went away. Now it's like a very, I don't want to say mild, but it's not a super robust, energetic palate. That might even be a flaw with it. It's like it's not super carbonated, peppery. It's so, I don't want to say thin, but it's just not as thick as you would expect. That's the thing with this beer. It's really hard to review because it's like, you know, it's not that it's bad. It's just that it's not up there with the super upper echelon. I think, as is the case with the 12, I think this beer is kind of a victim of its own success. The hype, maybe not the hype, but just the hegemony of that. Because this is actually rated in the top 10 or 20 on both Rate Beer and Beer Advocate, mostly because of the holy grail forbidden fruit kind of aspect, because it's so hard to come by. I like it. It's not a bad beer, and I'm gonna rate it appropriately. I'm gonna give this an 8. And that's not a pun, like it's an 8, so I'll give it an 8. But yeah, that's an honest review. I definitely do like the 12 better, and this is definitely more impressive and a little more substantial than the blonde. But I've had better beers, I've liked better beers, and that's the honest truth. So 8 out of 10 for Trappist Westvleteren 8. And that does it for this episode of Chad's Beer Reviews. Come back tomorrow for episode number 401. Cheers, bye.
Somebody brewed it, Chad just reviewed it. Thanks for watching Chad's Beer Reviews. Trust me, the next episode will be a lot better.